What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. So a lot of my friends ask me, is full self-driving worth the $7,000 when they're ordering their Tesla Model 3? Well, first, there's actually a lot of confusion between the standard autopilot and full self-driving. A lot of my friends think that you have to get the full self-driving to get the autopilot features. But then I let them know that autopilot is actually standard and the features of autopilot that they're looking for is actually included in the price. So they typically ask me, is full self-driving worth it for the $7,000? So in this video, I'm going to go over the differences between full self-driving and autopilot, and I'm going to give you my feedback on whether I think it's worth it right now in February of 2020. Let's get into the video. Thanks for watching another video. If you're new here, my name is Dennis. I picked up this Tesla Model 3 a few months ago and I make videos on my experience, including a weekly autopilot video in Los Angeles traffic. So if you're interested in any of that, please hit that subscribe. So autopilot actually includes a lot of the features that people are looking for when they buy a Tesla Model 3. It includes auto steer, lane departure warning, forward collision warning, and a lot of stuff like cruise control, speed control that keeps you in the lane and keeps your speed and brakes for you and accelerates for you all at the same time. Full self-driving is the latest feature that's $7,000, and really the main differences between that are summons, Autopark, and auto lane change. So we're gonna go into those three features and whether I think they're worth it and the added cost of a $7,000. So it's pretty bright out, but I'm gonna try and demonstrate to you the summons feature. So right now my phone is saying to activate summons. So you can really, with summons, pull the car out forward. What's that noise? That's a loud pitch noise. And you can have it go, backwards as well. And there's also Smart Summon, which allows you to stand at wherever you're at in a parking lot and the car will come directly to you. So the car is recognizing me and it's coming directly to me slowly. And it's given up a little bit and struggling. And, okay, and it gave up. So that's pretty much the two versions of summons. You can go forward, you can go backwards in a straight line, or it can come to you in a parking lot via Smart Summons and GPS. You can actually only use it in parking lots and you can't use it on public roads at all, or not yet. The next feature is Autopark. I'm going to try and find a parking spot that it can detect so that it can pull into the spots. I don't think it's going to detect any of these spots as Autopark, but it's typically good with parallel parking, but I've also found it also doesn't detect a lot of the spots for parallel parking as well. So one way to probably trigger it is if I start to back up into a spot, then it will hopefully should trigger it. I'm going to slowly start backing up into a spot. Nope, not today. Let's see if I can back up into another spot and it'll detect it. Oh, so it's not detecting any of these spots. As you can see, it's still pretty glitchy. It is still in beta and really isn't detecting any of these spots so far. So let's see if we can get it to detect this one. There we go. So take vehicle to a complete stop. Go ahead and hit start. And as you can see, I just have to release it and it should be able to start auto parking. So cool thing is it also works in parallel parking spots and reverse parking spots as well, which is pretty nice. So this is really just if you're lazy or if you're bad at parallel parking, then I would just use this feature as well. But right now it's going pretty slow and people are wondering why I'm parking so slow. And it stopped. And it's just struggling here. Okay, so we're just gonna give up on that one because there's a car just wondering why we're just failing at parking right now. And the last feature is auto lane change. So on normal autopilot, if you're in auto steer, if you want to change lanes, you have to deactivate autopilot like this, make your lane change, and then throw on autopilot again. But auto lane change allows you to stay in autopilot. When you're in traffic like this, auto lane change doesn't work as well. So right now we're in a lane, there's a truck on the left and there's a slowdown on the right side. I am going to piss off a lot of people if I turn on my auto lane change right now because autopilot, the Model 3 is just gonna hesitate in this lane, I believe. So let's go ahead and turn on. So I just hit the right trigger and okay, cool. That was actually pretty quick. It just darted in front of the truck and we're pretty good. But there are times where auto lane change hesitates a little bit. So let's see if we can try and replicate that. Right now there's a truck in this lane, there is a gap, so I could potentially see auto lane change doing it quickly. So let's see how quick auto lane change can go back. Just triggered and a slow back into this lane. So that's actually pretty good. I'm actually surprised about auto lane change at this point in this semi-traffic. I mean, we're going 44 miles an hour, so there is traffic, but we're still going at a pretty fast speed. Auto lane change typically does screw up at a lower speed when there's more cars and it can't detect the lanes. There's open lanes to the left and right of us, so autopilot would definitely won't freak out. So let's go ahead and hit it again. Auto lane change. So I can certainly see why someone would like this, because normal autopilot, you don't have to disengage autopilot and re-engage it again. You can just leave it in autopilot and just click left and click right. But the difference is when you're on autopilot and you're trying to use auto lane change, at least for me, I'm looking to see if there's enough space in the lanes before I trigger it, because I know there's a certain threshold of space in which the auto lane change will be able to do it with no issues or not. So I've gotten pretty used to that. So it's basically the same, because you're not really relying on the computers too much, as I guess you really shouldn't. You're still looking into the lanes to make sure there's enough space and then making the lane change to do it. So let's see here, there's a truck to our left that's not enough space. A Prius just came in the lane as well. Try and throw in the cameras. Probably just gonna stay into this lane. So I would say I use auto lane change 50% of the time, and the other 50% of the time I just disengage autopilot myself, make the lane change because I know it's going to be quicker and more accurate, and then throw on autopilot as well. The next package that's also part of full self-driving as of February 2020 is Navigate on Autopilot. And Navigate on Autopilot is basically autopilot navigation from highway exit to highway exit. So right when you get on the highway, it should be able to take you from the current exit you're at and make all the lane change necessary and the highway on-ramps or the highway features necessary to get all the way to your highway exit. Now there's two settings on this, and when I first got Navigate on Autopilot, you can have it so it makes the auto lane changes automatically without your confirmation, or you can have it set like how I have it currently set, is that you have to give it confirmation, like currently right now, you have to give it confirmation to make the lane change. So right now it wants to get into the left lane so that it can follow the route, but I have to give it confirmation for it to do that. Sorry if it's really bouncy right now. So it wants to get in the left lane, it's asking me to confirm, so I hit confirm, and someday it will finally, okay, yeah, it was a little hesitant right there, but it made it into the lane. Now it's braking a little bit, and now it's in the lane. So I've noticed though that Navigate on Autopilot can be a little buggy at times. You can have certain settings on whether you want it to be more aggressive or not. I used to have it at Mad Max where it would change lanes all the time, but I realized very quickly that it would change lanes for no reason, and that staying in the lane that you're currently in is probably the best. So I've actually changed it back to disabled. And sometimes I've also noticed that if you're in HOV lanes, it'll want to exit the HOV or express lanes. So I've even turned off Navigate on Autopilot just so that it stays on the current lane that it's in. So Navigate on Autopilot is a cool feature, but it's probably not worth the $7,000 of the full self-driving package that it currently is packaged with. If I had to put a dollar amount on the full self-driving package, it's probably worth maybe $3,000 to $4,000 and not the $7,000 that it's currently asking. Now, they do say if you are going to purchase the $7,000 full self-driving package, you are kind of making an investment, because they are going to release certain features later on that will make the package worth it. But if you look at Tesla's history in the past, they've kind of done this with their previous users where they had autopilot, enhanced autopilot, and then made it standard, and then made a $7,000 or $6,000 package on top of that. So you're kind of taking a risk on whether it's worth it or not for yourself. So is it worth the $7,000 upgrade for full self-driving to really just get that feature as we currently are in February of 2020? You kind of have to ask yourself. Now, being up to date, of course, they're going to add more features as we continue along the year, so it might be worth it later. But Elon and Tesla have said that as they release more features, they're also going to increase the price, which when I got this car in August of 2019, I paid $6,000 for full self-driving. Shortly after that, it went up to $7,000, and it's been $7,000 since for the past 5 months, give or take. A lot of my friends do ask me, is full self-driving for $7,000 worth it? I tell them straight up, the 3 features that you're gonna get is Summons, which is kind of a gimmick, but I have used it in parking lots, but it's kind of a gimmick. Autopark, which I've also used from time to time as well. It does freak me out, but I sometimes use it. But it's also kind of a gimmick because you can just park yourself. Unless you're a terrible parker, then $7,000 is worth it for you for the computer to park your own self. And auto lane change, which I think is the biggest feature of full self-driving at the moment. If you're that lazy and you don't want to disengage autopilot, change the lane, and then re-engage autopilot again. Or auto lane change is really only good or really shines in the empty highway on long road trips. On the commuter highway, short commute, 30 miles, 50% highway and 50% local, it's probably not going to be worth it as much to you. To answer my question, is full self-driving worth it? A lot of people say just invest in Tesla stock and you'll make that money back very quickly. But in my opinion, autopilot is not worth it for $7,000 at this moment. One of my other viewers brought up in a comment, he wishes that it was broken out into segments, like $2,000 for auto lane change, $2,000 for smart park or summons, or $2,000 for summons and $2,000 for Autopark, or $2,000 for Autopark, so that you could buy it a la carte. I think that's a great idea, and a lot of people would probably opt for that instead of paying the full $7,000 plus tax for full self-driving. So really the only benefit if you're buying it up front is you could finance it, but then you're financing it at 3 to 4% instead of paying cash for it up front. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Comment below on what you think, if full self-driving is worth it, or if you have it yourself for $6,000 or $7,000, or if you're considering it, and what are your thoughts on purchasing it or not. Hit that like if you enjoyed this video.